Okay, so we've got a bunch of concepts we're going to be looking at today in Vectorworks. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is add lighting positions. That's the goal. But to do that, I have to teach you guys how to make a 3D object. We've made lots of 2D objects. Was that you or me? Okay. I need to teach you how to make 3D objects so that we can make a hybrid object, so that we can convert a hybrid object into a lighting position. Boy, does that sound complicated. It isn't, so don't worry. We're going to go through this step by step. Does everyone have their Show Vectorworks file open? Great. After today, you're going to probably want to start bringing on any day we're doing Vectorworks, your Vectorworks file. Okay. The next thing we do in Vectorworks is placing lights. And at that point, that's your design. In fact, we're going to do a little bit of prepping for that today if we have time at the end of class. Okay? So we're going to create a 3D object. Because we're ultimately going to make a lighting position, I'm going to set myself up on the building layer, because lighting positions are part of the building, and the electrics layer, because electrics is what we call a lighting position. So if we remember, we can get to our navigation palette by going Window, Palettes, Navigation. It's probably already open for most of you. And we put a check mark next to building. That makes it our active. And we make a check mark next to electrics. I'm going to bring up one thing. Matt said that he accidentally moved the orchestra pit somewhere inconvenient. One way you can stop yourself from doing that is to set yourself to show snap others, and now you can't adjust anything but the layer and class you are working on. Okay? I always have my layers in that position because that's scenery, lighting, building, reference. But if you're worried about it in other views, go ahead and set your classes to the same thing. It's perfectly fine. Okay, so let's create a lighting position. What does a lighting position in a theater in the real world usually look like? What? A pipe. Yes. Good answer. So what does a pipe look like? A round circular thing. A tube. Okay. Let's go ahead and make a tube. So we're going to make a tube. I'm going to start with my circle tool. Okay. There are multiple ways to do this, like everything in Vectorworks, but I'm going to go with my circle tool. Okay. Anyone know how what the outside dimension of a standard theatrical pipe is? You not expect to know this, just if any of you happen to know. 1.5 to 2 inches. I love it. So I'm going to say 2 inches because that's a nice number. I am in my circle radius mode. So we set the center of the circle, and then we set the, oh wow, this is at 2 feet already. It's at 1 foot already. Remember, if I hit the tab key, I can just overwrite this. So if it's a 2-inch diameter pipe, I'm in radius mode. What is the radius of my circle? 1. Yep, because it's half the diameter. Okay. Vectorworks will ask you what angle you want it at. Doesn't matter because you're making a circle. So fine, 30 degrees is fine. I click, and there, look, teeny tiny. I'm going to zoom in. Oh, let me zoom in. I have my mouse set up to zoom in. Zoom in, zoom in. Here we go. Look at that. Hi, Alex. We want to get your Vectorworks file open. That would be great. Okay, I have a circle. That is a 2-dimensional circle. Okay, that's a good start on a pipe, but it's not 3 dimensions yet. Okay. The command for taking a shape from 2D to 3D is called extrude. Okay. And we find that under model. So if you click at the top, model, extrude. If you're doing a lot of these, I suggest learning the command. If you're on a Mac, it's Command E. Matthew, you've got your PC there. What's the keyboard shortcut on the PC? Extrude. Control E. Oh, awesome. Those are the same. Okay. We select extrude. We're going to get a pop-up menu. X, Y, and extrusion. Don't adjust your X and Y. That's going to change your initial shape. Okay. But extrusion is how far we want this to extrude. So what length pipe do we want for our lighting position that we're making right now? You can have anything. I'm going to say 10 feet. That's the standard size of our backstage booms. Okay? But if you need it at 14 feet for your show, draw it at 14 feet. If you need it at 50 feet for your show, draw it at 50. Draw what you need. Okay? We're going through an example. So I'm going to say 10 feet. Okay? So I can type in 10 feet. I can also type in 120. If I don't put a unit in, it assumes inches. 120 inches is 10 feet. Click OK. No, I don't want to save at the moment. And did anything happen? No? Well, no, because we're in a 2D view at the moment. Let's click over to our 3D fly around tool. And, oh, look at my pipe. Oh, look at that. I have a piece of pipe now. Okay? If it really bothers you that the pipe is solid instead of hollow the way our theatrical pipes are, deal with it. Some point, if it really bugs you, I can show you, but I will tell you that doing it this way is going to speed up your render times. Because, believe it or not, it will calculate the hole in the pipe as you're rendering everything. And that's one thing that you don't care about and will make your rendering faster. Okay, I'm going to go back to my top plan view. Yeah, I've got a circle. That's lovely. Do you guys want to build a vertical pipe or a horizontal pipe at the moment? It depends. Let's do a horizontal pipe at the moment, okay? Horizontal lighting position. So the big problem is our pipe's going the wrong way. Anyone know what tool we would use to fix that? Rotate, the same tool we've used before. I'm going to go into a front view. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see the pipe. And I've got some snaps turned on. You guys remember what snaps are? I have my endpoint snaps and my angle snap turned on. I've got some others turned on at the moment too, but those are the two that I think are important for this. Okay, I'm going to select my rotate tool. Remember, we've got different modes. I want my rotate standard because I don't want to create a second pipe here. And, oh, the pipe didn't create it. Okay. I'm going to grab the bottom of the pipe, go up to the top of the pipe. That's going to set my line for rotation. I'm going to go straight to the side. I could type in 90 degrees, or I can just take my mouse over there, and since my snaps are on, it's going to snap to 90 degrees. And click that. The other thing that's important that we do, and this should happen automatically. I'm just going to say that this should already have happened. But you want to go over and check, zoom out far enough, and make sure that your pipe is essentially laying on the floor of the theater. It's really important that when we create hybrid objects, which is what we're going to be creating in a minute, that they are on the floor to begin with. If they are not on the floor to begin with, they will not behave the way we expect them to. Okay? I don't want to tell you that Vectorworks is going to make them behave incorrectly. Vectorworks is making them behave exactly the way it's programmed to. But the way we in theater will expect them to behave, they need to be on the ground to begin with.
What if they're not?
Grab it and move it.
Did it snap?
It won't snap to the ground. Just drag it. Get it as close as you can. The difference of an inch isn't going to make a difference. But the difference of 10 feet will. Okay, go back to our top plan view, which you can do from the drop-down menu or Command 5 or Control 5 if you're Mac or PC. Okay, and let's use our Fit to Object tool, which is going to make sure your pipe is selected that we just built. Okay, what shape does that pipe look like from above in our top plan view? If we're zoomed in, it's a little more than a line. A rectangle. Okay. To create a hybrid object, which is what we need a lighting position to be, a hybrid object means it is a two-dimensional object in plan view and a three-dimensional object all the rest of the time. Let me say that again. It's a two-dimensional object in plan view and a three-dimensional object all the rest of the time. Unfortunately, Vectorworks is not going to be able to look at that pipe and say, oh, it's really a rectangle. We have to tell it. Okay? This is going to be, you're going to see why this is really important when we start putting instruments down, because you're going to see the magic that this command can do. But for the moment, this is a pretty simple hybrid object. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. Okay, my endpoint snaps are still on, and I'm going to go to one corner of my rectangle and click, or my pipe and click. I'm going to go to the other end, the diagonal end, and click. And I have now made a rectangle that is exactly the same size and shape as my light pipe. Yes? Everyone done that? Good. So we have a three-dimensional object right on top of a two-dimensional object. Our two-dimensional objects, by default in Vectorworks, are on the ground plane, which is where we moved our pipe to. Again, important to know. Okay?
Can you make it snap somehow?
Yes. Do you have your snapping palette open? Windows palette snapping if it's not. Uncheck it and then recheck it. It'll bring it to the top in case it got buried. Your snap palette is pretty easy to get buried because it's pretty small. Found it? Okay. So the one that is the snap to object, which is the box with the four corners in the center, and the snap to angle are the two that I recommend for this lesson you have turned on. The others, it's up to you. Since I'm doing this on my computer, I always have snap to intersection on. That's just a me thing. Okay. So I want to draw a large box around my three-dimensional pipe and my two-dimensional rectangle. And you're like, where'd my three-dimensional pipe go? Well, remember, it's right underneath that rectangle. It's important that they are lined up perfectly for this to work. Okay? And I now have two objects selected. If you're not sure how I know I've got two objects selected, Window Palettes Object Info, and right at the top of Object Info it says two objects. Okay? Or you can trust that you've grabbed them both. Is that a question, Chris?
Nope.
Okay. We are going to now go to Modify and Create Symbol. Symbol is the term for hybrid object. The reason I keep using the term hybrid object is because Vectorworks is going to use it at you frequently. And you're like, how do I make a hybrid object? There's not a command for it. Because there's not. It's called make symbol. It used to be called make hybrid object. I have no idea which version it changed in. Okay, create symbol. I click that, I get a pop-up menu. It says, please name the symbol. Please name the symbol. I'm telling you this because eventually you're going to find symbols and you're going to have 50 objects called symbol 1, symbol 2, symbol 3, symbol. And not knowing what they are is going to make life inconvenient for you. Okay? I don't care what you name it. You can name it Fred if you can remember that. I'm going to call this something like pipe 10 feet. Because that's something I can remember. And when I look at that in the list, I go, oh, pipe 10 feet. I know what that is. Okay? Okay, couple of things we're going to look at. Plan projection center, next mouse click. I'm going to do that as next mouse click because otherwise it's going to go with the orientation of my drawing. Units, web-based or world-based, just leave it default. Your drawings, I set up your drawing, and world-based and page-based are actually the same. So that is a pointless question in this setup. Okay, if you're starting your own file, then you can make those decisions. Don't click story aware, leave that blank. Unless you want your pipe to automatically attach itself to walls, which you don't, because it actually attaches inside walls, leave that turned off. Other things, leave instance in place. What that means is it's going to convert your object to a symbol and stay put. Is it better for you to be back there today?
No, I just put the music stands.
We'll move the music stand.
No, it's on my scene.
Okay. Change 2D objects from layer plane to screen plane. If you make sure everything is at the floor, you're fine. Okay. At the moment, my screen plane and my layer plane are the same thing. And I haven't showed you guys how to change that, and you have to get into some pretty deep into the menus to change that, so you're safe. Okay. Assign to class. I like to draw things on the class I want them to be on, so it's going to automatically assign this to the active class, which is actually what I want. Okay, and that's the default. In other words, except for the name, I've left everything the same.
And
Oh, and next mouse click. Thank you. Click OK. Now, before I click OK, I'm going to tell you once a next mouse click. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to go to the center of the pipe. And because I have my snaps on, when I get close to the center, I'm going to get a little box that pops up that says center, that says, I have just moved your mouse to the exact center, which is what I actually want in this case. And I'm going to click right there, select destination folder. In case you have multiple files open, you want it to go to the file you're working on, pirates@penzance.vwx, unless you've renamed your file, in which case, whatever you've renamed your file to. Click OK. That is now, if we look at our object info, no longer two objects selected. It is one object selected that is a 2D, 3D symbol, otherwise known as a hybrid object. Okay? In 2D land, in our plan view, it is a rectangle. When I go into 3D view, which I'm going to just go into top, yeah, it's fine. We can now see that it is a pipe. We can already see that can you see the extra lines on it? That's three-dimensional. Okay, and when we move around, it is indeed 3D. Look at that. That's lovely. We love that. Okay, back to our top plan view. Command 5 on the Macs, Control 5 on the PCs. Is it a lighting position yet?
no.
No, it's just a hybrid object. I told you this was a long way to get to where we're going. But it allows you absolute control. So you're going to say, wait, there's a command that says create lighting position. Yes, there is, and you have to use the default lighting positions that someone has pre-built into Vectorworks for you, which is fine if it's what you want. By the way, 10-foot pipe is one of the ones that's pre-built. But you should know how to do them yourself so that you can do whatever you need. Okay, so I am going to select my 2D, 3D object, my 10-foot pipe. And we're going to go to Spotlight. Now, I am going to show you how to get into Spotlight, especially those of you that are doing this, download this on your home computer. You may have a challenge because I think it defaults to Architect mode. You need to go to the Tools menu and scroll down to Workspaces. Once you get to Workspaces, click on Spotlight. I believe all the computers in here are on Spotlight because I went through in August and put all of them on Spotlight. You're on Designer? Okay, please go to Spotlight. Okay? Apparently that means either other people have been playing with it or my defaults got overwritten. Okay? Is everyone on Spotlight? Okay. For this next thing to work, you have to be in Spotlight. Well, okay, that's not totally true. For me to show you where this is, the easy way, you have to be on Spotlight. In Vectorworks, you can get to any command from any version, from any mode. It's just a lot harder if you're not in the mode where they think you want to use the tool. Okay, so the big thing that changed is you should have a thing up here that says Spotlight. Okay, one of those menu items that says Spotlight. Make sure your hybrid object is selected and click on Spotlight. And go down to Object Conversions. And I just want to show you what we've got here. We've got a couple of choices. Convert to instrument. If there is a lighting instrument that you want to use that does not exist in your inventory, which for most of you I would find surprising, except possibly for Alex, who loves to build his own lighting instruments. This is how you make an instrument. Same process, couple of other steps because instruments do a little bit more than lighting positions, although lighting positions do some pretty cool things. Hanging position, that's what we're creating. It's a place where we're going to hang lights. Multi-circuit is a type of instrument. Accessory is something that you add to a light, like a barn door, like a color scroller, or replace with stock symbols going, oh yeah, I've got this thing. Oh look, there actually is a symbol for it. I want to use the pre-built symbol that Vectorworks built because it has all the magic stuff pre-programmed and I'm lazy. Okay. At the moment, we're going to do convert to hanging position. And click that. And of course, what we're going to do is we're going to get a pop-up menu and it's going to ask us to name the position. So here we get into one of the challenges with Vectorworks. There are things that cannot share the same name. Okay? Lighting positions are one of those things. Lighting positions need unique names. Okay? If you have two lighting positions with the same name, which, you know, if the moon is right and you've said nice things, your computer will occasionally let you do. It will then consider those two lighting positions exactly the same thing, and it will possibly muck up your paperwork when we get to your hookup and your dimmer schedule, etc. And sometimes it won't let you. I'm always happiest when it won't let me because everything is cleaner that way. Okay, so we're going to name this position. Okay, again, what can you name it? You can name it Fred or Bob or Savannah's favorite boom or whatever. Normally, if it is an overhead position, if it's over the stage, we call it electric 1, electric 2, electric 3, and we start that count at the proscenium arch and we go towards the cyclorama upstage. If the theater has pre-named electrics, your theater has pre-named electrics. Electric 1, electric 2, electric 3, electric 4. Those are the names in the theater. If you add an electric between 1 and 2, what do you call it? Some theaters call them the 1.5. They're also frequently called the A, the 1A, the 2A. You know, the 1A would be between the 1 and the 2. The 1B would be between the 1A and the 2. Make sense? Some theaters use the 0.5 nomenclature so that if you have to add a second one later on, you don't have to name a bunch of things. You can just go, okay, that was the 1.5. This is closer to the first than the second, so it's going to be the 1.2. Okay? Front of house positions are called either APs, which is short for anti-proscenium, which is just fancy ancient dead languages for before the proscenium, or FOH, which is what your book uses. What does FOH stand for? Front of house. Or beam. If you're working in a theater, ask what their names are. And typically, your beams, your front of houses are named the same way, starting at the proscenium arch and working outwards. Okay. The pack drawings that they send out does not do it that way. Okay. Again, when you're working in a theater, you work with their conventional names. Okay? Just that's the rule. If you want to rename things for your own sanity, that's up to you. I have renamed the pipes in this matching standard theater convention. Okay? That is, the pack is not wrong. It's just not the way many theaters do it. Okay? It is not unusual. The way the pack does it is not so bizarre that I've never seen that before. I've seen it a lot. It's just not what any of your textbooks are going to tell you to do. Okay? So name this position. Every position needs a unique name. Even if I'm going to put in 15 10-foot pipes that I'm putting on the side of the stage to do something or whatever, each one's going to need its own name. I'm going to call this, what do I want to call this? I'm going to call this Bob for the moment. Okay? Bob is not a great name for a lighting position because it should be more descriptive than that. It should be something like proscenium arch added or whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to call this Bob for the moment so we can work with it. Okay? And I have just created Bob. How do I know I have just converted this to Bob? If we look here, it has a name associated with it. Isn't that awesome? Yes.
So the menu that you're supposed to be able to click on for the lighting position isn't lighting up for me. It's still gray, so it won't let me click on it.
A 3D symbol. Well then, I'm going to show you the other way to do this.
Okay.
Which is good. I was going to show you anyway. So, you created your object. You created your symbol not in plan view. You're still in a front view.
Okay.
You have to create your symbols in plan view.
Okay.
Okay? So that's why it won't let you do it. It should let you do it this other way. Okay? So this is great. I went through all this process to build us a 10-foot pipe that can be a lighting position. Okay? And let's say I need 5 of those. I don't want to have to go through that process of build a 10-foot pipe, build a 2D 10-foot pipe, make it a symbol, convert it to a lighting position. That's a pain in the neck. Okay? If I'm doing just one, that's the way to do it. If I've got to do 2, 3, 4, 5 identical lighting positions, we're going to find a better way to do it, okay? We still have to go through that whole process first. If I don't have the symbol created, the next way I'm going to show you isn't going to work. Make sense? Okay? Yes, Alex.
My pipe, I'm trying to get it to rotate to 90, and it will only rotate to 45 relative to my plan. Is there a way to rotate where I choose the degrees?
Yes. Tab.
Okay.
And then you should be able to type it in.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it? Awesome. Okay, so I already have this 10-foot thing created, which I have called pipe-10 feet, because I am creative with my naming. I want to get my spotlight toolbar up. How do I get my spotlight toolbar up? Window, palettes, tool sets. And I've got to look at my tool sets, and one of them has a picture of a Fresnel on it. That is our spotlight tool set. Okay? Now it's odd, that looks like a lighting instrument, but what I want is a lighting position. That's fine because the position is in part of these tool sets. I'm going to expand this a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. Yours may look a little different. Let's see if I can get mine to do, here it is. View tools as, yours may look like this where it's icons. Okay? That's fine. If you hover over the icon, it will tell you what it is. Yours may look like this, view tools as text, where it is just a description. I like to view my tools in this one as icons and text. Okay, so there is a tool called hanging position. This is what the symbol looks like if you just have icons. It is basically an ellipsoidal with a note taped to it. That's what I always think it looks like. They call it lighting position? Great. Again, you guys can download between 2017 and 2019. The differences are minor. So you said it's lighting position 17? Those of you that are doing on your own computers, it's lighting position or hanging position. Okay. I click that and I get information up here where I always get information. It says position symbol. It happens to have thought about the fact that I just created a position called 10-foot. I just created an object called 10-foot pipe and says, is that what you would like to use? In this case, it's absolutely right. Okay. But if I click on that, I get all the symbols that are in Pirates of Penzance at the moment, which is 10-foot pipe, 12-foot pipe, 72-foot pipe, 80-foot pipe, CITT vertical, pipe-10 feet, USITT title block corner, USITT title block corner vertical.
How did you get there? Yeah, I got something.
Okay, let me. Are you guys all on 17? Oh, I wish you were actually in the front now because I could plug into your computer. You have a thing called Resource Manager. Can you click on the Resource Manager? If you click on, do you all have a Resource Manager floating? Yes?
No.
No. Window, palettes, Resource Manager. And you should have said it looks a lot like that. You have more textures in yours. Nope. Are you in? You're in 18. Be in plan view before you do this. Okay. Be in plan view when creating lighting positions. Yes. That's fine. Yeah, same thing. Just different release date. You got it? Okay. So if you have your resource manager, found that. You find your resource manager? Okay. And your menu, you should select Pirates of Penzance V, whatever on the left, basically your file. And you should have the pipe you created, pipe-10 feet. You should have a whole bunch of other pipes in there, yes? Or symbol-1, I'm sure that's the one you just created. Yeah. That's the default name. Got a lot of stuff. Yes, there's lots of stuff in there. By the way, till you're done with your design, this is fairly clean at the moment. You're going to have tons of stuff. Every symbol you use gets added to this. If you figure out, if you actually shove gobos into Vectorworks, and Vectorworks has them in its memory, in its files, they get added to this. This gets really full, which is why I advocate naming your objects well. Because when you have to start searching through them, especially because pipe dash 10 feet and pipe dash 80 feet, they look identical, don't they, in the thumbnail. Why? Because they're the same thing, they're just a different line. Okay? By the way, gobos look, you can't read them, they're just a little dot. So name things well. Anything you have control over to name it well. And by the way, does name it well mean that I understand it? No.
You understand.
Name it well so that you understand it, because you're the one who has to use your file. Make sense? Okay. Select pipe 10 feet. In your resource manager. Click on it, and if you double click on it, it should select it. If not, click on it, and the select at the bottom should work. Again, that has to do with operating system preferences. Okay. And now you should have a little dashed line floating around on your mouse. Uh-oh, do we have the computers in here now? That's 2 squares. Okay, go ahead, and the 2 squares is fine. You've got something floating attached to your mouse that you can't see yet. Okay, great. Click. Ooh, I love that sound. Okay, click once is your insertion point. Your second click is the angle you want to put it at. If you put it in wrong, don't worry, you can rotate it. Okay, we've got rotate commands. Okay. Okay, and it has named it. Okay, you probably don't like the name it has given it, because the names it gives it are based on the last lighting position you put in using this methods. Okay, which is, apparently the first electric was the last position I put in when I built the file for you guys, because this is first electric. Okay, so lovely. I have just put in a lighting position with a name I don't like. What's the rule? Name it well. Okay. Object info, shape. Does everyone have your object info palette opened? If not, Windows palette's object info. Okay. We're going to come down here and we're going to see all the things it can do. Now, lighting positions are a special thing in Vectorworks. Remember we were talking about that we have to eventually do our channel hookup and our dimmer hookup, and I said in the old days we used to type it into Excel, and if we made a mistake, we had to go search and find it, and then we had to go. Vectorworks will do all of that for you if you attach your lights to hanging positions. So if you want to put lights on the floor and you want Vectorworks to work its magic, well, you need to put all those lights on a hanging position. So you can put a hanging position on the floor. Okay? What you can do if you're really clever is put it on a different class and turn that class off so it won't print. But Vectorworks will still manage it. Vectorworks doesn't need it turned on so that the world can see it. It just needs a hanging position to be there. Some of you have said, ooh, can I attach lights to the scenery? Yes. What you have to do is create a hanging position to basically wrangle the data. Okay? And then if it's a hanging position that we wouldn't really see because you're literally going to bolt the light to the set it on a class that you're going to turn off before you export your lighting design. So no one will see that it's there, but it's there doing all of its behind the scenes magic for you. This is where Vectorworks is really, really powerful. But you have to build light, which is why I want to show you how to build your custom weirdly shaped lighting positions. Yes, Alex.
On the object info.
Yes.
For the pipes that we just pulled out from our resource manager. When I click on it, is the X and Y the position in the? Are those coordinates for the position in the drawing, or are they positions of the object.
Well, they move, so those positions have to do with where it is in the drawing.
Space.
But
it doesn't have to do with the position of the length of the pipe.
No.
The X in the
No.
X. Okay, great.
It is actually the coordinates of its position.
Space.
And I recommend if you need to move it, drag it. Don't try to type it into your object. You obviously can. If you type it in, it will respond. It doesn't matter how you put the information in. But now, what is important in that is X and Y, those are set. Z is set to 0. If you want your lighting position on the floor, Z at 0 is perfect. That's what you want. Because Z is your distance from the floor. Okay? Positive is up, negative is down. Okay? Jules, I hate to pick on you, but you were my assistant designer. In Little Shop, did we have any lights that were at a negative lighting position?
Yes.
Yes! Where?
In the pit.
In the pit. So I put lights in the pit so that we could cook Alex's head while he was trying to sing. And those lights were below stage level. They were at -3 feet or something. Okay? You have pictures. Yeah. Okay? So Z is your distance from the floor. When you set your pipe to its position, if you already have lights hanging on it, the lights will move with the pipe. Love that. Okay? But you do want to set this correctly, because if your pipe is at the wrong position, remember I mentioned Vectorworks will do all the math for how big of a circle, how big of a beam you're going to have at your distance. It only works if the pipe is at the right position, because we have to hang lights on pipes. Okay? So I want this, let's say I'm doing this to actually attach lights to the proscenium arch. Okay? I don't know why, because Brody wouldn't let me do that, I'm sure. But let's say we could. Okay? So I want this just above the proscenium arch. Our proscenium arch is about 20 feet high, so I want a little above that, so I'm going to say 22 feet high. So I go into my Z, and I just go 22 feet. If that doesn't work for you, you're like, I don't want to type, I want to just use my mouse. Go into front view and drag the position where you want it. It will update object info. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't have a Z plane.
You have a Z
Y and rotation.
On your object info? I'm still really confused how I got all this.
You put your your beam in and not plan view. You have to be in plan view to put your lighting position in. You have to be in plan view to put your lighting position in. Does that make sense, Matthew?
Yes, I am working.
Okay. Come down here, you've got rotation. So yes, you can type in your rotation here, or you can use your rotation tool. Okay. Position name. This is where you edit your position name. Remember, everything has to be a unique name. So it is going to name it for you. But it's going to name it, in this case, First Electric -1. Yeah, that's not the name I want. I'm going to call this Proscenium Extra. And notice it renames the picture. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Couple of other things you can do. We're going to talk about these a little bit more later in the semester, but you can insert a position summary, which will count how many dimmers you need on that pipe. It will count what lights you need for that pipe, and will put that information on the light plot for your master electrician.
And it will also the voltage and the wattage of each of the circuits.
It will do a ton of stuff for you. You go into a bunch of menus to set up what you want it to do. And if you add a light to the position, it recalculates. If you delete a light from a position, it recalculates. It will put in weight if you've got to rig it. I mean, it does a ton of stuff. And to get to that, click on the Insert Position Summary. And there's nothing on it, so I can't do anything. Eventually, as you put lights on it, it gives you more options. Yes, Alex.
What if you want to build a light ladder, on the side for a side position, but you don't want it 10 feet. You want it more like 6 feet or 4 feet.
Build it. I just showed you how to build a 10-foot pipe. Build a 6-foot pipe.
I have, yeah, okay.
and build several of them on top of each other. Yep. This is why I'm showing you, because you're going to have ideas as you're working on your show and going, oh, I want to put a light here. Okay? Lights have to hang on a lighting position.
Can you not use the lighting pipe ladder tool?
There is also a lighting pipe ladder tool.
Thank you.
Okay? There's also a lighting position tool that will build this for you in a little shorter way. But you've got to use their standards. Okay? If you don't like their standards, and some computer programmer in Vectorworks in Nemechek's office building has decided what the standards are and built them. And it's great if you like them. And if you don't, you got to go old school and do it yourself. Okay? And yes, there's a whole bunch of things over here. Like all the toolbars, when we're learning all the other tools, and I said, click on that object, see what it does. Same recommendation here. Okay? And you'll have different bits of flexibility. Okay. I want to turn. Well. Okay. So I've got my lighting position, symbol name. Don't change that. If you change that, it will change what symbol's there. If you don't have a symbol by that name, life can be bad. Okay. I do want to show you numbering direction. This will number your lights for you. Okay. We haven't gotten to that a lot in class, but if you looked at light plots, they all have a little instrument number on them. In the old days, we used to have to type this in, and we cried when we had to add a light. If we had to add a light between the first and second light on the position of 50 lights, because then you had to renumber the other 49. Here, it will auto number. You just have to tell it left to right, right to left, bottom to top, or top to bottom. One thing about Vectorworks. Vectorworks has no idea where the audience is. It has no idea about anything. Top to bottom means from the top of your screen to the bottom of your screen. Left to right means from the left of your screen in plan view to the right of your screen in plan view. Okay? All I ask is that you're consistent on your numbering.
Is there a standard for like left to right, right to left?
You have just asked the question that gets people at USITT that determine the standards to argue for 2 hours until they get kicked out of the conference room.
It's like spaces versus tabs in programming.
It is exactly like spaces versus tabs in programming. And let me tell you, everyone has really, really strong opinions.
I do.
Okay?
Tabs.
And I am going to be really good and not give you my opinion because you have to do what works for you. If you are working in a theater with an existing light plot, if you can look at their rep plot and copy what they do, it will make their staff happier.
Would you try to like maybe copy the way that they did the circuits? So the circuits are labeled right?
No, because circuits are installed by the architect who built the building, not the end users. And let me tell you how badly they are installed in some theaters.
I just meant like the directionality of it.
Yeah, let me tell you how. Go to East West Players at some point. Theirs start at the middle and work out. Yes.
Crazy people.
Yes, crazy people. Okay, it's not a good way to look. Okay, it's just, and I don't think it's everywhere at East West Players. I think it's just their cove position, which they call a cove, not a front of house. Okay. Vertical positions. We looked at this before. If you want to get into how Vectorworks intends you to do a vertical position, go to the student portal of Vectorworks and look up Plan in Model View. And I'm telling you that that's the way they expect you to do it. I have yet to meet a designer who uses Plan in Model View who is not paid by Vectorworks to teach a class in setting up Plan in Model View. Because the way we have all done it, for years when we were hand drafting, and for years when we were doing AutoCAD, and for years before Vectorworks came up with this concept, and it displays nicely every single time, and it does 85% of your math correctly for you, and the couple times where it doesn't do its math correctly, you guys will know how to do the math on your lighting instruments, so you can deal with it. Okay? How do we draw a vertical position? What is our standard graphical way of notating a vertical position on a lighting plot. We looked at this briefly when we were looking at our file. Not a triangle, but sort of. What we do is we take the lighting position and we knock it over so that we can see it in plan view. Because if we're looking in plan view at a vertical lighting position, what does it look like? A stack of lights, and we can't read any of the data because they're all on top of each other. So we knock it over. So if you look here on your plan, the stage left box, okay, that is a vertical lighting position. It is at a funky angle, and that says, everyone goes, oh, funky angle? That is almost certainly a position that has been knocked over so that we can see what it is. Okay. Personally, when I'm setting up my file, I set up the height of my SL box position at the midpoint of the pipe. So if we look at this in 3D, and obviously Vectorworks doesn't understand that it's a knocked over lighting position. Okay, it is just creating the position, and there it is. It's knocked over. The middle of that pipe is at the correct height. The bottom of the pipe is at its true position. And we call things boxes or booms. That's our theatrical terminology for a vertical position. So we look at that file, we go, oh, it's a box. Oh, it's actually standing straight up, but they have knocked it over so we can see it. Does that make sense?
So when we made the symbol, we made the pipe first and then we added the triangle,
yep,
right?
Added the
is it
rectangle.
Rectangle. Is it possible to make the pipe straight up and down but the rectangle angle? So that in plan view you see it angled, but the pipe is actually physically up and down?
The answer is yes, you can. I have never tried that. That's actually a good thing. I don't know if it will attach to the 3-dimensional pipe or the 2-dimensional pipe. But the lights are going to attach to something, and what they attach to is what's going to be important. So here's my assignment for you. Try it. Report back. See if that works. If that works, that's going to be that's a much better solution than Vectorworks solution. Vectorworks solution takes more time to set up than it is actually useful. That's just at every 2 versions. So as soon as I upgrade to 2019, after the semester's done, I will go through their tutorial again and go, yeah, still don't like it. Or, hey, it's finally worthwhile. It is not worthwhile in 2017, in my opinion. Okay? If you love it, that's why I'm pointing you to a Vectorworks tutorial on it, because they're going to do a better job. Their tutorial is better than I can do on it, because it's a thing I hate. Their tutorial is really good. Okay? Okay. We're at 10:07. Great. I have one more thing I want to show you. And I'm going to ask you guys to trust me on this. We haven't talked about this concept in class yet, but the day we're talking about, I was looking at the PowerPoint. I'm not going to have time to get us into Vectorworks to show you how to do the correlation. I want to talk about a concept called focus points. Okay? If you're going to put any focus points in today, I suggest doing them on their own class. I'm going to quickly create a class called focus points, because I am creative with my class names. Okay, what a focus point is, and we're going to deal in next week. I think it's next week. How you decide where a focus point goes. But we have been focusing lights in the theater, right? In lab. We know to focus a light. Someone stands there and we point the light at their face. Okay? And when I designed that system, I designed it to have the lights pointed at a face that is 6 feet off the ground. Why? Because I'm 6 feet tall and I'm lazy. Okay? That is the focus point. Where we point the light is the focus point. Okay? In Vectorworks, we have to tell Vectorworks where every light points. Okay? And we could go and individually point each light. But chances are good many lights are going to point at the same, right? We're going to have a bunch of lights that point at center, right? And we're going to have a bunch of lights that are going to point at down center. We have a musical, so we've got a conductor. We probably have a couple lights that are going to point at the conductor. Okay? So instead of having to do this with every single light, we create what are called focus points. Okay? And I just want to show you how we create those today and how we actually put them into Vectorworks in a couple weeks in lecture, a couple lessons in lecture, we're going to talk about the theory behind where you place them. Does that make sense? Just the theory class, I think, is going to take a lot more time. Okay. So I select focus point. I select that tool. Okay. I'm just showing you how to create these. These are actually really easy to create. I go somewhere on stage. Actually, it doesn't have to be on stage. Cody, you said you had for Cat Like Tread dancers in the audience. Okay. So you're going to have focus points in the audience. Okay. If for whatever reason you need to light up backstage, you're going to have focus points backstage. Make sense? Okay. Wherever you are pointing the light, that is what the focus point is. Okay. I'm going to click on stage. I'm going to click, like down center, because that seems like a logical place. I bet I'm going to put a light there. Okay. Focus points need to be named. Ooh, I know why it's called drop. Let's not call it drop. Usually we just do them by letter. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm going to call this one focus point A. Okay. Focus height. That is where the light is going to be focused from the floor. Okay. And by the way, that is from the stage floor. So we have a 2-foot platform on stage. So if we're doing a focus point for a 6-foot actor on the platform, how high is our focus point? 8 feet.
You said 6 foot 4 actor.
6 foot for 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 our actor. Sorry. If our actor is 6 foot who is standing on a 2-foot platform, where is our focus point for that? 8 feet. It was a bad example. Thank you, Matthew. Okay. Vectorworks also defaults to 6 foot. There is nothing magical about 6 foot except that a lot of designers use it. Okay. The great thing about Vectorworks is after you do your first one, so I'm going to say yes, A, go ahead, and I get a little A on stage. And if I go into 3D, this is actually a 3-dimensional object because you will see it is floating 6 feet over the stage. And if you want to get into some really funny, bizarre Vectorworks stupidity, is Vectorworks will cause the focus points, if you leave them visible when you do a rendering, will cast a shadow. Okay? Because Vectorworks does not understand that this is a theoretical construct. Okay? Because it has to draw an object, therefore it is an object. Okay? Vectorworks is great software, but it's just software. It is not human. Okay? So I'm going to go put in my next focus point. And I'm going to go put it in wherever. And again, I just click where I want to go. Look, it automatically names it B because it says, oh, you called the first one A. I bet the second one's going to be B. If you call the first one 1, it calls the second one 2. Okay? If you call the next one girls-1, it will call the following one girls-2. This logic in Vectorworks is actually pretty darn good. And I am constantly shocked every version how much better its thinking for you gets. Okay? And I'm going to say this one is going to be at 8 feet high. I don't know why, because it's not on the platform. But notice when I click my third one, it says, oh, your last focus height was 8 feet. I'm going to make this one 8 feet. Okay? I just want to show you that how we know where to place focus points is not today's lesson. Does that make sense? Okay. But I don't think I'm going to have Vectorworks time on the day that it is that lesson. So I want to get it done. Okay. Okay. Is that a question, Alex?
No.
Okay. I'm just afraid that for some of you, Alex and Jules and Matthew, I have showed you, focus points. You're raring to get going to the next step. No?
I'm still trying to figure out how to adjust my pipe size on my own.
You build a new pipe.
Yeah, I know.
You build a new pipe. I'm sorry. I'd like to tell you that there is an easy way to do it.
There's no stretch tool that lets me.
There is no stretch to a hybrid object that is going to work well.
All right.
Okay? And before, yes, there is a stretch command. It might be called skew. I don't use it very often. It does funky things to 2D or to hybrid objects. I'm just going to leave it with that. Much like polylines have their uses, they get a little funny in 3D. Some of these commands get a little funny in 3D. They don't behave quite the way we expect them to behave. Okay. But yes, if you're like, I am way too lazy to draw a pipe and rotate it, you could make your hybrid object a rectangle in 3D, then your pipes will be a rectangle. very few people will ever notice. Okay. If you really need to hollow out the pipe, does anyone need to? We have 7 minutes. Does anyone want to hollow out the pipe? No. Okay. Wait, did I hear a giggle from back there? Jules, do you want to hollow out the pipe?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
No pressure. You can. I'm happy. We've got 7 minutes. I can show you guys how to hollow out a pipe.
I'm curious.
Yay! Good. Oh.
Because I'm curious.
Okay. So someone had to be good. We have 7 minutes, so I want to show you this because there's some logic in this that you guys will be able to play with. So 2-inch pipe.
Oh, you went 2 inches, not inch and a half?
Yeah, because
The outside diameter?
the outside diameter is 1.5 inches,
Right.
or is 2 inches.
2 inches.
Yes, the inside dimension is 1.5 inches. So I am going to create 1.5 inches, which is going to be 7.75. 0.75. Okay. Oops. Oh, whoops. That's there we go. Okay. So here are my pipe, my 2 circles with their differences. I'm going to select both of them and extrude them. Sure, 10 feet. The weird thing is if I extrude 2 objects at the same time, the program groups them, which group just means they are together. When I move them, they're going to move together. To do my next step, I have to ungroup them, which is edit, ungroup. Oh my gosh, it's not edit.
Or modify?
Modify, ungroup. Sorry. It is also Command U, which is the group, and grouping is Command G, which is the way I always do it. Okay. So they are now ungrouped. See, I can select them separately. I've got them both selected. Model, subtract solids. And it says, retain subtracting objects. I don't want to do that. If I hover over OK, it says, highlight the object to be subtracted from. Vectorworks has about a 50-50 shot of guessing correctly of what you're keeping, what you're throwing away. But yes, the outer circle is what I want to keep. The inner circle is the one I want to subtract. I click OK. You go, nothing has changed. But if we look at this in 3D, we can see that, yes, in fact, we now have a hollow pipe. Okay. In model, you have add solids, subtract solids, intersect solids, and I recommend you play with them. Okay? It's all going to bring up, they only work on 3-dimensional objects. That's the only thing you have to know about those solid addition, subtraction, etc. is they work on 3D objects. They do not work on 2D objects. You must convert a 2D object to a 3D object first, which we do with what command?
Extrude.
Extrude.
Or Command E.
Or Command E. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? We covered a lot today, but since we had time, I did want to show you adding and subtracting of solids because and I'm just looking at Alex because I know that he is up for doing some funky stuff. If you need to make a pipe that is not a straight line, a lighting position that's not a straight line, you can use your add and subtract solids to do that. Okay. If you want to build a 3D cat tree, Matthew, you can use your 3D solids to do that. Okay. I don't think we need a cat tree for lighting design, but I know that was one of your goals of what you want to do in Vectorworks. Okay. The way you create scenery in Vectorworks is adding and subtracting solids. Okay. Because I know a couple of you have also ambitions to scenic design. That's the big secret. Okay. Questions? Nothing? Okay. I'm going to end the recording. I will get this posted later today.